One, two.
We are up.
Mics are hot,
Yeah.
so y'all know. Yep. Once again, it is another Thursday. Tune in, musicians. Let's go. Well, not just musicians, right? It's more than just musicians.
Nah,
Saints, Inks, everybody. Lottie Dottie and everybody. Y'all come
more
on
than
in.
eights. Come on in, eight.
Y'all come on in. We're going to get this started because today's going to be a wonderful day. Once again, because we're continuing in our whole talk with red flags, and that is part 2. I would say I'm your host, but I'm not. I'm just this boy in the room sitting at the desk over here. Keith Pelzer in the Konvos lounge. You see most of it back up over there. And these two handsome gentlemen blurred behind me, none other than Angel's husband and Enon's husband.
Facts.
That's how we're going to refer to him as of now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Between Sundays. And I will say to you, I had a great time this Sunday past because I was hanging out with some musicians, some great musicians. Shout out to all the musicians. I don't want to mess up the names, but there's this dope drummer, name starts with an R. There's a dope organist, name starts with an R. Is that right?
Organist? That's an A.
With an A. It starts with an A. Mm-hmm. Bass player starts with an M.
Oh, yeah.
Another dude on the keys starts with a A.
Yep.
Yeah, another A. And am I forgetting somebody? Look, I'll tell y'all about it later. I'm working on it. And it was all doing it for my bro, Rodney Harris. Shout out to you.
Shout out to Rodney Harris.
But nonetheless, here go you guys, because I don't even know what the heck I'm talking about.
All right, welcome back Between Sundays. Yeah. We are at episode 7. Yeah. Again, we're a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church, ministry operation, and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship, arts, and multimedia personnel. If you don't mind, if you're already in the building, please take time to share this. Share this to your page. Share this to a group you may be, Facebook group you may be connected to. YouTube is on the way, but we're going to build Facebook as much as we can. If you have not already liked and followed the page, please show us some love by following the page, liking the page, particularly if you enjoy the content. So again, I am D. Brister, joined once again by
J. Mars.
Back in the building.
Yep.
As you already saw, we got Pels on the video 1s and 2s. So here's where we want to start today. Want to hit a comment from last week. Hit a comment from a friend of the show, Drew from Philly, Andrew Tingle. So his comment, he said, as we were dialoguing in regards to the initial conversation between the pastor and the musician, he said the minister of music, the president, and the music director / MD are 3 different roles. Mm-hmm. And the reason I brought this comment for the beginning of today, because I really wanted to get into some detail of these roles, particularly the minister of music and the MD. All right, so Jay, I want to throw it to you in terms of how would you describe first the role of the MD and then the role of the minister of music?
Cool. Well, first, I looked up what is the difference between a minister of music
I read in my Bible.
and a musical
He
director.
said I looked up. I like it, Jay.
I did. I looked it up.
What you find,
Now,
Reverend?
the crazy thing is,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm about to read to you is Google's version
Mm-hmm.
of the minister of music and musical director. All right, so it says it uses 3 titles. Minister of music is for those meeting the certification requirements and who are also ordained. Director of music for those meeting the certification requirements but who are not ordained. And associate in music for those who have met the certification requirement but who lack the academic.
Wow.
Interesting.
I said, okay. Like, wow, that was really interesting. Now, if you're asking what it means in the Black church,
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
as we use it, because a lot of times titles, are just titles in our ministry. They don't really know certifications behind it. Long as you look like you got it, they're gonna put you on.
Say word.
Yeah. So, but to answer your question, as a musical director, I've been in both seats.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I am a musical director. I'm responsible for the band. I am responsible to make sure the music is right during service, and I'm supposed to make sure that there's always music where it needs to be. So not only am I basically like a band manager, and if I need to, I can teach.
Yeah.
If I need to, I can sing.
Yeah.
If I need to, I can lead. If I need to. But that would put me in the other position as minister of music. Because now, as minister of music, it is my job to oversee, to make sure that not only is the music right, but that everybody, including the music director, is on point.
Wow.
So we're all working together, but there is a hierarchy. Minister of music, of course, is on the top. And then you have the band director or the music director. And the minister of music teaches, leads, praise and worship, if need be. Now, that's not saying that because in some churches, the minister of music is also the worship pastor. So now we've got another name for it. But it's like so you have another name for it now. But in most churches that I've been to, it's always been the minister of music. I've just now, in the last 5 years, heard of what a worship pastor would be. So that's what I've seen of it.
Awesome. So let me attack first the music director MD. Now keep in mind everybody watching that the titles, they're kind of used in our churches a lot of times in a tailoring way. So they kind of take the title and tailor it to their specific needs.
Okay.
Many times.
I like it.
Just because, they're looking for a proper title to kind of separate roles. But I say that to say that, there can be some differences, and what we are offering may not be absolute for every situation. But let me give my perspective of the music director and MD in terms of what we commonly see in the Black church. And a lot of it is an agreement with everything that you said, Jay. Generally speaking, you are the lead musician in most cases, where the rest of the band in a setting that has a multiple piece band, everybody's looking generally at your direction in terms of navigation, musically in terms of a song or any musical elements of a service such as transition music, exhortation music, bump music. You are the lead or you are the pilot of that when it comes to the worship service or the musical event. You are the pilot of that element. Now, that can also include, some administrative things, such as maybe it's your responsibility to distribute the set list of music to each of the band members. It could also be your responsibility to add some arrangements to music selected. So that's why I would get to you first and then be distributed to the rest of the band, because maybe there's either a want or an expectation of adding, something extra. Right. Or even changing the arrangement, whatever the case, obviously in conjunction with whoever selected the music, so that, that's not in conflict. Right. But that could be something as well. I know in the last position where I held the music director / band director role, part of my responsibility from an administrative point was payroll for the musicians under me. So those are some of the things that can come along with the position and the role. But from a musical texture standpoint, I would describe it as the pilot of all things musical as it pertains to the service. So in any other rhythmic instrument or any other instrument, they're looking to you to guide them, as obviously you're looking to either the choir director or whomever is leading the song as it pertains to its presentation to the congregation. Right. So that would be your MD. Now, minister of music. This is where it gets interesting, because I want to start by saying the minister of music role has very little to do with the service itself on Sunday.
Break it down.
And what I mean by that is you're not necessarily seeing the minister of music perform their role on Sunday.
Wow.
It's not something that if you're in the congregation, it's necessarily visible that you can, that if I've never been to the church, that has to be the minister of music based on something that they're doing during the service. Right. That's generally not the case. And I think that's the biggest misnomer. Yeah. Is that, it must be the lead musician, or it must be the person leading praise and worship. No. That's generally, that's not the role of a minister of music, a pastor of worship, pastor of music, or another iteration could be a director of music. All right.
So real quick.
Yes, sir.
Is that where we end up having a problem at? Where as musicians, we want to get hired with that title, even though we don't even understand what the title is, because of the extra work that the title pays for, right? But if we misconstrue what that is, it's like you said, we think whoever's on the Hammond is more than likely the musical director, not unless they're a world-renowned drummer, and they could possibly be one, right? Because we shifted depending on, take it like this. If you walk into a church and Adam Blackstone is on the bass, you may assume, oh, that's the MD or the minister of music in a sense, right? He's a good example of the test would be, hey, Adam Blackstone is at Sharon Baptist Church with Darien. Who do you think the minister of music is, and who do you think the musical director is? I want to get it right and say, you know what? I want to say, knowing Darien, he's the minister of music, and what's his name is the MD, right? Because he would know Adam Blackstone does award shows and different big things, right? That's more so musical directing. Darien sits out with pastors all the time. I'm not saying Blackstone doesn't, but I'm just saying Darien's going to take that time and say, if we got 3 musicians and two 2 keyboards, I'm gonna be the one that'll put the other guys on.
Yeah.
And I'll be the liaison and make sure everything goes right.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to add that in. I like what you said there.
I'm glad.
And I love your explanation on that, because there's a lot of people that'll walk up to you and say, hey, I was minister of music at. Yep. And it's like, what did you minister technically? Right? You just played, and your homie knows how to play your style, whatever, the other 2 band members. But what exactly were you doing? Because I know the worship pastor at that church, and they do all the musical work. So what exactly were you ministering? Yeah, where you were, and is it just because you want the amount that goes with? Yeah, you know,
that's good.
Absolutely,
that's good.
And listen, that's an elephant in the room there. An elephant in the room there is, like you said, Pels, those who want the job or want the role, not really understanding what that role really is. Right. You're just really coveting the role because in your mind, that's the bag. That's the biggest bag in the infrastructure.
Right. Right.
And that's a reality.
And not only that, you're not to cut you off.
No, you go.
Not only that, you're not realizing that most of the time the minister of music, as you said, even though you don't see what they really do on Sunday, you have to also realize most of them are during the week.
And that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Most of them are there during the week, making sure that what you see, the production that you see on Sunday, goes right before Sunday. Yeah. Behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I don't want to take too much time in my explanation of minister of music. I did want to start there. Here is my short version of what that role really encompasses. And you just really open the door in terms of, okay, the majority of their task is what leads to Sunday.
Yes.
The majority of their tasks is what leads to Sunday and what bears its fruit on Sunday, and not so much them doing something on Sunday.
Exactly.
And here's where I'll finish my, I guess, short explanation with. The minister of music, from my perspective, they are responsible for the fabric of the music of the church.
Yes.
They're responsible for the entire fabric. And when I say fabric, I'm not just talking about what songs are selected. When I say fabric, it includes songs that are selected. It also includes the flow of music. Yeah. It also includes things such as, in many instances, songs and musical interludes that may connect with what is being preached by the pastor. When I say fabric, I'm also talking about the development of those gifted in music within the church. And the development is not something that just happens on Sundays. The development is not something that just happens in rehearsals. That development is outside of Sundays. It's outside of rehearsals. And sometimes it's also even off site.
Yes, definitely.
That's what I mean by all of that adds into the fabric, and it really doesn't even cover everything.
No, you're right.
That's, again, me kind of giving a short version of they're responsible for the entire fabric. So if there's dysfunction, that ultimately reflects the minister of music.
Yes.
If there's dysfunction anywhere musically where a group is getting up and maybe, it kind of comes off that rehearsal didn't go too well.
Right.
Or if the band doesn't sound like they're together, if they don't have the sound that they've been playing together, and they are playing together. All that reflects back to the minister of music, who's even though you may have a music director at the same time,
right,
underneath of that minister of music, who that they directly work with the band, it still all reflects back to the head, which would be the minister of music. So I went that way to really try to illustrate to some who may not know, particularly pastors, that if your lens of a minister of music is just what happens on Sunday, you probably need to adjust your lens.
Wow. Very good. And let me also add that a lot of times, most ministers of music, they are usually or have developed a strong bond with the pastor, because it is almost impossible to be that intricate in the service, where you are setting the atmosphere for what's about to be preached, and you have not at all had any or made time at all to spend with the man of God that is going to be bringing the word forth.
Absolutely.
So most of the time, the minister of music is going to be the one who is there all week, and who's also eating lunch with the pastor, or may have prayer with the pastor, but spending a significant amount of time drawing from his spirit and drawing his on his message, whatever he may do, really just feeling him out. Because you never really know where he's going. But just like any other relationship, if you're not around that person and you don't take time to get to know them and to know, I will say this, the mannerisms. Because every pastor doesn't say, all right, I need music. There's certain mannerisms that a minister of music would know about who they are serving in ministry to say, okay, he's ready. Okay, a song is needed here. One of the things that I have learned as a ministry of music is that everything usually, okay, how about this? The church I was at, where I was a minister of music, everything was intentional. So when the pastor would preach, and he all he had to do was just speak something, and even in his, I wish somebody would dance just for, you know what I'm saying? I already know where to go. There is no, hey, did he just say, does he want us to? No. I'm listening. So I'm not only listening to the word, I'm actually following him as minister of music. So I'm drawing from everything that he's saying. So, you know, if he's in the middle of saying something and he says, tell your neighbor, nearer my God to thee. You know what I'm saying? I already know that's something I can go to for altar call if necessary.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
As a, you know, so as musical director, I'm looking at the minister of music like, you know, okay, whatever you want me to do. And I'm now it's text, but I'm texting back and forth with them to say, hey, listen, what do we need to do? I heard it. Did you hear it? Yeah, I heard it. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. And we'll get together. And we'll make sure that whatever is being preached is being, like you said, a great presentation of Christ to the people.
And the idea is that it's not 4, 5, 6 different ministries on Sunday that just have their place on the program.
Wow.
But that's been what we've been conditioned to do. That the different ministries that are participants of the worship experience from a sequence standpoint, it's like, okay, you do you, I do me, they do them. Well, there is absolutely no communion there.
Yeah.
The idea is that, we're all in sync.
That's right.
Together to maximize the effectiveness of the worship experience. But if we have that separatist mindset,
right,
then the overall product, at best, it's going to be, oh man, that word was good.
Yep.
Oh man, the music was just on point today. No, the whole thing should be an experience.
Yes.
Not one aspect. The whole experience should tie together. And then obviously, as a meal, being, the main course, being the word, being what is life applicable,
Wow.
But the everything before that, it should be in concert. And last thing before we move, unless you had something else, I want to highlight one of your points in terms of the relationship between the pastor and the minister of music and spending time. A lot of everything you said is proof of why that a relationship and a connection there is needed.
Most definitely.
It's the proof why that's needed, because when I, as a minister of music, get more familiar with how you think as the pastor and how you see different elements of the service as the pastor, and at the same time, as the pastor, you get more familiar with how I think as the minister of music and how I see different elements. That's what brings us together. Not that we absolutely have to think the same, but we're familiar with how each other thinks.
Wow. So I know we got to move. I just want to spend 2 minutes on it. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible for a minister of music to be effective but not play any instruments? I'm just asking. I mean, I'm trying to step on no toes. I'm asking because I'm sure that is a question that's going to be asked.
No, wait. So Jay, are you asking experience with the instrument or not playing in that ministry?
That means, I'm going to say it like this. That means what you are over, you have no experience at all.
Okay, for that I would say no, but I use the Andy Reid as an example. And most coaches, if you look at Andy Reid, I mean, the dude done won how many Super Bowls? Three Super Bowls, right? He is the head. He's the freaking coach, right? But do he look like he can run the crowd down that field?
No.
Absolutely not. Do he look like he can catch the ball in the end zone? Absolutely not. The only problem is, was he ever a football player? He was just a limo driver, right?
Nah, I think he played Division II college, but never pro. Okay,
never pro, right? So now it's almost like this, Jay. Maybe I know how to play dun 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 dun, and maybe I can go do 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 on the bass. Maybe I can go on the horn. Maybe I know how to push a fader up.
Yeah.
But that doesn't disqualify me depending on me showing the skills necessary to get the outcome necessary. Right?
Good point.
So then this kind of leans into our, 3-week-old 2-term pieces, tenure and talent, right? Because that's a proper mix of tenure and talent, which means I've been around this so long, I see how all this works. Right. And I got a CD just like you, or I got a tape, or I got a playlist just like you.
Yeah.
And I know how to rock a party, right? I know how to put the right selections on so that everybody, we make playlists. People that are non-musical actually make playlists.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, give me a copy of that playlist. And it's like, they're not even a DJ. And DJs are like, damn, that's a good playlist. What do DJs play music based off of? The interaction in the room.
Yeah.
So they become experienced. So you can have a person from the pew that has become experienced in knowing what to play. Think of this. The old mothers used to tell me what to play when the preacher's preaching. I learned from some of them. Baby, play this song or whatever. And it's like, yo, good song, mama. Good song, grandmama. Were they musical experts? Absolutely not.
Right.
But if they really desired it, right, then they would hone in on the craft and they'd be able to prove it because their tenureship, right, has developed into a talent that they know. On the flip side, you got people that got the talent that they need the tenureship in order for you to trust them. But to your point, do they necessarily have to know every instrument? No, because I know it's a lot of minister musics. If you throw a bass in their hand or a banjo, they can't do nothing with it.
Yeah, but they know what they want to hear.
But they know what they want to hear, right?
Okay.
Because they know music.
Okay.
So can I add this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Were you done, Pels? I didn't cut you off.
Yeah, but I'll throw this out there. Something I think we can expand on in another talk is when y'all were talking about relationship, right? Yeah. The thing about relationship that I'm really looking at now, and I'm just throw this out there for people in the comments. Yeah. How many of you, and respond if you're listening, respond by saying, I remember that. That now you have choir rehearsals, musician rehearsals, and different things. But how about those impromptu 2 hours after church where people used to gather around the musicians? The members would gather around the musicians. Yeah. You were encouraged as a young man or woman on an instrument because the non-musical people just appreciated your gift and they sat there with you and just let you play, and you had an audience even after service because the janitor liked to hear you play. Right. And they said it touched his soul when you was practicing. It was motivating. Now we're bringing in staff to satisfy experience, right? But we're not cultivating relationship. Yeah. See, back in my day, the whole church knew the musicians. Right? Oh, yes. Everybody kind of knew, and you had backing from everybody, not just a few people, or not just, I know the pastor and I know the trustee. It was like, no, you actually have built your own relationship with everybody in the church. So that's sidebar, but I wanted to add that in. Go ahead, take it away, Darren.
So before I address that, let me shout out some watchers: CJ Wilson, Eric Charles, Marquise Shaw Cotman, Dave Bell, Nelson. I want to say that's Ojeda or Ojeda. I apologize if I messed that up. Lisa Smith, Drew from Philly, Rob Speaks, Richard Hill Jr., Wendell B. Floyd II, Noel Terrell, Carnelli Smith, Kev Hammond. Thank you guys for tuning in. In the aspect of minister music, to your question, Jay, I think here's the important thing to add to that I think many people gloss over. And I think Rob Speaks' comment really, he hit that in his comment. The thing is, also including voice as an instrument. Yes. I think that gets glossed over a lot. Yeah. But your voice, for singers, that is an instrument.
Of course. Right.
That is an instrument.
Talk, man.
Right.
So when you now put that in the same perspective, then it's like, okay, in more cases than not, there is an instrument at play.
Right. Right.
Maybe it's not a rhythmic instrument or a string instrument, a percussive instrument, but there is an instrument at play. And so, to your point, you take the voice part out of it. You take, all right, you don't sing and you don't play a physical instrument.
Right.
All right, yeah.
It's very rare.
Right.
I'm not going to say it can't happen.
Right, it's rare.
But it's very rare.
Now, I think for me, one of the qualifiers of a minister of music, no matter what your instrument is that you have not built your ceiling musically.
That's good.
You have not, and so if you have not built your ceiling musically, then for, let's say, the person who generally only uses their voice as their main instrument, you are open to maybe add a secondary instrument that ultimately helps you be more effective at the minister of music role.
That's good.
So
that's good.
But yeah, if, again, to answer your question, if we, intentionally make sure we include the voice as an instrument, then I think, that kind of answers your question where, okay, if you don't sing and you don't play an instrument, I don't know how you can effectively let's skip over qualified.
Right.
I don't quite understand how you can effectively
that's the word
operate in a minister music role. I don't understand. Now, can you operate in that role if your main instrument is voice and you don't really competently play another instrument? I believe you can.
Yes.
I believe you can, particularly if you are someone who has evolved in the way you communicate musically. What I mean by evolved. This is one term that really is exhausting for me. The term flow.
Wow. Yes. Come on, break it down.
Listen, I just need you to flow. I just need you to flow with me. Okay, we heard that 15 years ago.
Of course.
And we just went with it.
Right.
But I think nowadays, in 2024, if you're in that type of position, your vocabulary and, your terms and phrases of communicating what needs to be where musically should have evolved past just flow.
Yes. Yep.
All right. We are...
Hold on. 30 more seconds.
Yes, sir.
And this right here, and I'm sure we've all been through it as a musician, when they look at you and do this, that's not telling me anything. Musician, that's a trigger.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
That is
something. But of course, what happens? Because they've done it with someone else.
Right.
And someone else, let's be honest, guessed correctly.
They expect you.
Then they believe that's an effective way of communicating that to anybody.
Exactly.
And if you don't catch it, then something's wrong with your skill set or your experience.
Exactly.
And that's why I went with the whole, I'm exhausted by that term flow.
Yeah.
Like we have to evolve how we communicate expectations, whether you play a rhythmic instrument or not.
Exactly. Agreed.
With 2024, we can add detail to the expectations we're looking for musically.
Agreed.
You got something else?
There you go.
I think your mic is
on. Yeah, let me cut my mic on. So I had a real good weekend. I was around a host of great musicians, right? I celebrate them. But being the old head now, I'm gonna start calling myself an old head. I'm a good looking 50-year-old. Anyway, something that's really been getting to my spirit, that's been messing with me. I'm good friends with James Poyser.
Shout out to James Poyser.
Yeah, shout out to James. And the Roots band and a few different people. But when I think about like Johnny Carson and the band, I think of the Roots and Jimmy. The Tonight Show people, they have a relationship with the band, right? Now there's a contract. Absolutely. This is television and all, but they have a relationship with the band. The reason why this stuff works great with the Roots, because if you notice, Fallon puts them in skits and stuff. Like if that was a ministry, they're involved in ministry. They're not just the band that plays, they're the known band. They're shouted out. I am the pastor and here is the band, right? We don't really see that with churches. That's so crazy to me, because at the end of the day, it leaks the answer and says, here is a relationship. It's like, when I do something again, if the Lord sees fit, like, I will build it with the band in mind. If me and Darien bowl, if everybody don't bowl, it's fine. Y'all go off this, that, and the third. But what is our point of commonality that does, flow.
Yeah.
Right? What is the flow? Maybe our wives don't do the same thing, but which of our wives got something in common so that if we got any problems, we can talk it over? I'm gonna cut in deep, y'all. If we got somebody in the band that comes in smelling like they just came back from Jamaica, not the resorts, right? On a Sunday morning, bruh. Come here for a second. Like, you need to calm that down. We're going to have it in conversation.
Absolutely.
If somebody come in tipsy or somebody creeping and doing dumb stuff, yo, my man, you about to get caught up over there.
Yep.
That's a no-no. Like, be on my side. SIDE. Shut it down early.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we need teams again. I'm just throw this out there. If you got musicians and y'all not a team, that's a problem. You can always have different mixed bands for weddings, for other stuff. But here's the problem on Sundays. I'm hearing musicians like, I got 3. I'm like, so where actually do you serve on Sunday? You can't possibly have a place to serve. You're getting 3 different type of doctrines, 3 different types of forms of worship, 3 different types of this, 3 different types of that. You're getting 3 checks, and all you're doing is working on Sundays, but not worshiping.
Good one.
Right? I'm not saying you don't have a relationship with God, and I'm not saying it's the thing that everybody got to do, but it's as me and Darien and Jay will talk about perspectives. That's what this is all about. Think of it that way. CJ, watch this. How much better would it be? Because especially when pastors have relationship, then we're not sitting around jealous of your band and my band. We call it a band. But that band and whoever the point person is in that band, the other people don't feel belittled or nothing. And it is a team where it's like, and the band, right? Because the ministry and music, if you take singing out of a church and you take the word out, you don't have a church no more. No. Technically, you just got a prayer chapel. Right? You that's all you guys, a prayer chapel. But for what we know, especially us, Melanin, with church, you need music like a DJ at a party, and you need somebody to talk. Right? So if the pastor has a band that he has a relationship with, he or she, you have a relationship, right? You build it. Dave Bell, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get back to Darien. Thank you, bro. I see what you're saying. The question is like, how does this change? One of the ways it changes is this. Thank you, Lisa. You shut it down early. In other words, the minute you sniff out jealousy, talk it over. Because some people might be like, oh, Keith got Jay and Darien. Well, they cool. They play together, and other things. So you know what? Darien was gonna hook me up with his daughter. She played now. I'll gladly take her and let me talk and see if that's a better place for Darien, because they closer to y'all anyway. We don't have to sit there and do the behind the back trade deadlines and stuff. Like, what are we doing with churches? Build the relationships and identify. And then when it gets so good, it's like, if you need somebody from my band, they not creeping because the pastors know. Everybody's on the same accord. And whatever the lack is, that's when you start training. That's when you start training. We don't even care about training now because the people that can do are so busy trying to hog spaces and secure their bag that we ain't really training nobody. And until you get houses of worship with a band that you can identify, you can't even point your children to a safe space to say that circle, that band there, because it's always a new uncle in the crew. It's always a new somebody in the crew. It's a different somebody over there. But if we have relationship, we're in an environment that's building and growing. To me, that's a better future forward.
And that last comment by Dave Bell, which I 1000% agree with. I do believe also that there's a cause and effect there that we're not having the conversations about. There's a cause and effect there, particularly when you talk about a musician having several other rehearsals with other churches, even going to your point, Pels, about the musician that's got 3 on every Sunday. 3 on every Sunday. There is a cause and effect there that we have to deal with. that leads us down to that path where now it's almost impossible to develop that relationship. Because, sir, you are right. It's not always that the pastor don't care. That is not always the case. That is absolutely facts. Absolutely facts. All right, let's jump back in. Red Flags Part 2.
Let's do it.
Red Flags Part 2. All right. So we're going to piggyback off of last week. And, man, I can't say enough about the nuggets, the diamonds that Pastor Troy Chambers dropped. Yeah. I cannot say enough about that. But we're going to go back and dig a little deeper. All right. Using that same role play that we did last week, where we're looking at a conversation or a common conversation you see in what would be considered an interview in the beginning between a pastor and a musician or a musical candidate. So let me do this because here's where I want to land. I really want to land on the bottom portion or the second half of where we started. But let me read real quick as it's coming on the screen momentarily. So, pastor says, we're looking for a lead organist / keyboard to help lead and manage our music department. We have a few key people within the music department that we've been leaning on and will be able to aid and support you. John Doe connected us with you. So I should have said, we were wondering, excuse me. Yeah, that's what it says. We're wondering, does this sound like something you may be interested in considering? Musical candidate says, yes, it does. Next question, pastor says, okay, excellent. What is your availability in regards to Sundays and during the week for rehearsal? Here's where I want to land. Musician says, I'm wide open. All right. And last week, I spoke to that in terms of it being a red flag that, okay, if they're wide open, it raises my eyebrow because what are you doing with life? What else are you doing musically if your schedule is wide open? Now, again, disclaimer, what we may be discussing as red flags does not automatically suggest that the candidate, is not, it's not a good candidate. The idea behind red flags is things that should lead you to ask more questions. Yes. That's the idea. It's not so much pointing the finger at, okay, yeah, no, you need to stay away from that person. No. It's, okay, key things that will make you want to ask more questions, get more information on the front end. I want to tell this quick story, and then I want to throw it to you, Jay. Years ago, I had a pastor call me. He was referred to me by a mutual friend who was also a pastor. He calls me, we talked, all right, and I'm going to do the abbreviated version. But when we start talking, he says, I'm looking for someone who would be able to transform my music ministry. Whoa. Okay. That was what he led with. Now, of course, he started going into some more details in terms of, how many groups, some of the type of music that they usually do, how many rehearsals, what time the service started. He went into some more of those details as much as, he could think of. But that's what he led with. He led with, I'm looking for someone who can transform my music ministry. All right. Then his next question to me, he said, are you presently playing somewhere on Sundays? My response was, yes, I am. And I told him the church that I was serving, the pastor. He said, now, I said, I say this because I say this to you and still having the conversation with you to see, what's going on with you, because I am dealing with the thought of transition even before you called me. All right, I'm dealing with the thought. Right. So his response to that, he said, okay, I understand where you at. But he said, me personally, I'm not into taking a musician from another church or another pastor. So if the Lord leads you to, resign from that ministry and I'm still in need and you want to give me a call, then we can talk further. So I said, okay, I respect that. I said, now, I do need to challenge your thinking though, sir. You led with, you're looking for someone to transform your music ministry. Mm-hmm. I said, here's where I'm going to challenge your thinking. People with that type of skill set is rarely out of work.
Wow.
If they have the skill set to transform your music ministry,
that's good.
They're not out of work.
Right.
They're rarely kind of sitting home waiting on the Lord to kind of orchestrate a random conversation.
Right.
Is that possible? Yes, it is. It is just very rare.
Yep.
Because from a human standpoint, it don't make human logic to leave a job without somewhere else to go.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Before we get to spiritual,
right?
That don't make human logic.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are there some people that may be their journey at one point where they say, the Lord dealt with me and led me to resign from this position and just wait. Mm-hmm. Again, very possible.
Right.
But speaking from someone who has been a minister of music for different churches along my journey, mm-hmm. and knowing other people who have that skill set and been in that seat along their journey, that's rarely the story.
Right.
They were rarely, personally, they were rarely with their personal relationship. They were rarely led to, resign from ministry and then wait at home until God said what's next.
Wow.
Again, mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's not possible.
Right. It's just rare.
That's what I'm saying. I want to throw it to you.
Ooh.
All right. So everything you said, man, was on point. And I have to start from the beginning because you said a lot in there, man. Mm-hmm. All right. So the first thing, I'm looking for someone to transform my ministry. Right there is you're already telling me, okay, so since you're looking for someone to transfer your ministry, you're also looking for an uncommon skill set. Mm. And an uncommon skill set, let's just be honest, comes with an uncommon price tag. I'm just being honest. At the end of the day, let's be real.
I like
it. Because as my brother said, people of that skill set are rarely just sitting home.
Yep.
They rarely don't have just anything, just not they're really not doing anything. Mm-hmm. So, well, I don't want to take you from another ministry. No, you're not going to take me from another ministry. What you're going to do, you're going to show me the benefit mm-hmm. of coming here rather than staying where I am. Mm. Telling me that you got a good word is not enough. I got a good word where I am. I got a good word sitting at home with the Bible. Mm. I got good singing. Yeah, they got good singing down the street too. No, I'm just being. Mm-hmm. See, I'll say what folks want.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, yeah, a lot of this is masked in at the end of the day how much it costs.
Yeah.
It's just masked. At the end of the day, you want to know how much you gonna charge me to come to my church and bring your skill set.
Yeah,
you were referred to me, so I already believe from the person that referred, because I trust them, that you're capable of doing it. So me even calling you, lets you know that I'm prepared to do it.
Yep.
I just need to know what it would take for you to resign and come here.
And can I throw this into your thoughts? There's an ugly part of this conversation that I think people will try to avoid. The ugly part, the guy said, or the pastor said, I'm not in the business of taking musicians from other churches. Here's the ugly part. The ugly part is the undertone of ownership.
That's right. Hold up. Yeah, right there.
All right, and let me be clear here, because I don't want this to conflict with, musicians and musical personnel choosing to invest in a ministry, as a musician, music director, minister of music, but willing to not only invest obviously their time and being compensated for that, but willing to invest in terms of stability. I don't want these two to get crossed up, because somebody's going to cross them up. But when I talk about this undertone of ownership, I think what happens a lot of times is the church, sometimes the pastor, we see an undertone of ownership in regards to what your ministry path should be. And what do I mean by that? It's like, okay, well, if I have a conversation with you, and hear this, Pels, if I have the conversation with you that, transition is something that's been heavy on me for some reason. Well, a lot of times what's received is not let's talk about, not only what your thoughts are, but let's talk about, the dynamics of the current situation, and maybe what could be a little bit more beneficial to you that's in our power. No, a lot of times it is a Bible browbeat.
Right.
Of, we do this and we do that. And, I just believe the word says this, that, and I got that.
Right.
This is what I don't have. It's the church or the pastor. You cannot control the musical journey and the design the Lord has set in place. Just because it's more beneficial for you and the church for me to stay. You don't have the authority over that design. That's what I mean by the undertone of ownership.
Yes.
There are some musicians that they are going to stay with the church that they were reared in and bred in musically. They're going to stay there. Right. And that's their design, or that's the design from God.
Yeah.
For them.
That's right.
For their musical journey. That's not the case for everybody. That's not. Some like me, the Lord designed me to transition, be it somewhere a few years, transition.
Yep.
Be there 6 years, transition.
Yeah.
That was the Lord's design. That now, I can honestly admit that in the early part, I was chasing.
Right.
In the latter part, no. I was bothered. Where I'm at now, which I'm in my 6th year. The ministry I served before that, I served for 6 years.
Yeah.
But I was bothered with transition in year 4 of my last ministry that I served. In year 4, I was bothered with transition and I fought it. And And I said, now listen, I'm comfortable here. Not the greatest situation, but I've invested 4 years. I got a daughter that's been reared here. I've developed many relationships and good influence. Yes. I'm good.
You're good, right.
And the Lord kept bothering me till I yielded. He kept bothering me.
Wow.
For a year. So it wasn't until going into the end of year 5 that I said, okay, I got to yield. And so that following year, year 6, that was my last year. Of course, had the conversation, left on right terms. But again, to close this off, that undertone of ownership when it comes to musical people, we got to be careful that you don't operate as if you, the church, own or have ownership of a musical person, creative, that you own their journey.
Wow.
We got to be careful with that undertone. I didn't mean to take a whole lot of time from
man,
it.
You're good. So to go back to what you said and really, because you really said something earlier that I want to bring back up. One of the things I believe that we need to do, or that would be beneficial for the musician in this type of particular situation of possible transition, is one of the questions would be, the pastor would ask, what at your current current position at the church, what would you do differently here, and what can we do that would be a betterment to your success here at this particular ministry?
Yeah.
Something like that would possibly number one blow your brain, because we're not asked that usually ever.
Yeah.
Like you said, they just browbeat you with the Bible. Well, now you're here. This is how we do it.
Yeah.
We don't care what you went through here. But if you want something to be different with this particular musician that you're trying to do, if you ask more questions about don't just ask about them, ask about their experience. Okay, so you mean to tell me it bothered you that you had to wait 45 minutes after service for your check? So if that bothered you, then guess what? Maybe we don't have to do that here. I'll talk to Sister So-and-so to make sure it's on the organ. Now, we may not can do everything. But there's certain things that we can do. Okay, so you did service after service and nobody bought you any water? Well, guess what? Maybe we can do that and bring you, there's certain things that if you take the time to to talk to them and say, okay, what can we do that'll make your transition a lot better so you can actually stay? And we can actually grow. Now, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that, because earlier Pels was talking about Jimmy Kimmel. With the Roots. Now, I'm sorry, Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry. With the Roots. So, okay. So, I'm sure that they were taken care of. But one of the things I did hear is some of them came from Philly every night on the train.
Yep. No, that's
that's facts.
Not once a week. Every night.
That's facts.
So I'm sure there had to be a situation where they're like, where Jimmy Fallon's like, look, I want you guys to be here for a while. I'm not only going to pay you well, but I'm going to also invest in you. So I'm going to put you on the show. I'm going to holler you guys out every chance I get. I'm going to put you in skits. I'm going to make you a part of us. Not just hirelings. I'm going to make you a part of what we do. A part of so it's more than just the money that you're getting. You're taken care of now. You're stable. So you don't mind coming up on the train every single night because you already know you're going to family. So it's not a hardship going there.
Yeah.
Because it's an investment.
Absolutely.
Not only in them, but them in you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that if we take that same thought process in the church and stop being stingy.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jay.
On both parts. I'm not going to just blame it on a ministry. On
both
On
sides.
both sides.
Both sides.
So Jay, here's what's crazy, and this thought came to mind. Somebody put a post up the other day, and they were like, "Yo, I missed the 5 spot," and this is what's crazy. Me, I look at a day where I'm not going to it because I'm a pastor. But where are the musicians hanging out at secularly, right? Where's the jam sessions at? Where's the artist that comes in town, right? And or where's the gig spot? That's not church, it's just a gig spot, shed spot.
Yeah.
Like, I remember back in the day, pastors would go to the music store. You know how I met Jazzy Jeff? In the music store.
Wow.
Because he sat around the keyboard department looking at the church musicians and musicians that were coming in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's almost like how we always throw Jesus in the mix, like he went to where they are, right? It's kind of like, yo, where's this spot? I hear you, Dave. It's like them days are gone, but it's like they exist again.
Yeah.
Where it's like you get out, you go to the show, right? You talk to musicians, just tell them who you are. That's it.
Yep.
Let them ask you.
Yep.
Right? And then Jay, you said something I was thinking about with sports teams. Professional players were already somebody from whence they cometh from. So the little boy in Alabama or the little girl is in Indiana somewhere or Idaho or whatever, and they're playing football, or the little kid from down in one of the poorest countries that has a crate to use as a basketball court that trains themselves. When they finally get recognized as a professional, they now have to decide, what team am I going on?
Yeah.
That's right.
Teams are made up of people that come to it because it's a clubhouse. It's a culture of this is gonna sound weird. I'm an Eagles fan, but the let's talk about the Cowboys, them boys, right?
Yeah.
That is a brand, right? And so you become a Cowboy player or something like that. And you find out, well, they recruited this quarterback and I'm the running back and that's the wide receiver and I got to trust that guy to protect me to get down the field. And you become a family. So even if a church builds the music department, right, it's still, the house has to be something without all of that first. It has to have its own, branding or something like that. And if it does, right, I can choose that culture and I can be drawn to it. Right? Cowboys do stink. But I can be drawn to it. If I don't just hire me to bleed green, make me want to bleed green.
Exactly.
Right? And then be confident that if you come or go, listen, every goodbye, look at how we cheer for Andy Reid. The goodbye wasn't like, oh, we hate you. It's like, yo, you ain't one of us no more, but congratulations on the Super Bowl, dude. It's still love. But that teammanship, I believe that it's achievable. And what happens is when you do show that you care, when you show some kind of support, when you go and you vet people before, catch them other places so you can see, do I trust this person when I'm preaching an A flat to join me? In ministering to these people, right? Do I trust you singing before I get up to preach, or are you just entertaining the people? See, the problem is we are protecting our empire. Shout out to Angel Holcomb. We're protecting our empires rather than leading in the house that God has chose us to lead in. And this goes from the pulpit to the back door. A lot of times we have that mentality of protecting the empire and not being advocates for the ministry. When we're advocates for the ministry, we build relationships because at the rate we're going, we have houses of entertainment. So if you think of the Met and you're going to hear Jill Scott, or you're going to hear Rihanna or whoever, somebody at the Met, you're going there, you expect excellency. The guards are paid to deal with your crap at the door. The ushers are paid to walk you to your seat, or they might be volunteers. The engineer is paid to get that sound right because we're paying for our seats. The cleaning people are paid to make sure when I sit down in my chair, it's clean. The lighting crew is paid to get that light on me. And it's like now, people are worthy to hire it, but if we're going to keep doing church like this, then everybody's got their hand out, everybody's crossing T's and dotting I's, and where are we free to just flow?
Yeah.
And like you said, even in the first episode, Pels, you was like, you know, they passing around musicians like NBA players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because who's going for the biggest money?
Yeah.
You know.
And what that then illustrates is that the bag in terms of just dollar amount that ain't gonna keep anyone over a long period of time.
And there it is.
The bag, it's got to be more inside the bag.
Yes.
It's got to be more. So,
bro. The reason why the 5 spot was so dope, because nobody was trying to make it bigger than the 5 spot. Right?
Yeah.
They were satisfied with the law of scarcity and law of inclusion. The law of inclusion said you better get in here early enough, or it's going to be too packed, and they're going to have to turn you away at the door.
Yep.
My God.
Right? The law of scarcity was, if I don't get there, I'm gonna miss something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss, because you know what? Jay gonna be down there tonight.
Yeah.
You know, Darien gonna be down there tonight. Somebody different. Like, we love James, we love John Roberts, but Brian's playing tonight.
Yeah.
Spanky's playing tonight. Oh, Lil Trey is coming up. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, Rakeem is down there tonight, and he's gonna be matched up with so and so. It's the vibe, the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? It's like Nelson's in town. You know, Marlon is back, you know, off the road. Or you sitting there like, damn, it's going to be hot. There was always an expectation of whoever was going to be. Oh, Kendra's down here tonight. Oh, they probably going to do the family joint. Let's see how that match up. And then even to the background singers.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's crazy because they weren't trying to make it bigger. The opportunity came up to have the Roots picnic, which is big because it is big entertainment, but this is not development ground. This is the developed ground, right?
Yeah.
The 5 spot was development ground.
Yeah.
And what that development got merged into was entertainment.
Yeah.
And so you have the developed that are on the stage. So when a Julian, who was just here, he's excited because he's like, yo, I'm going to be on Roots Picnic. Cool.
Yeah.
Jill's coming in town. This one's coming. This one's going to be on the stage. And it's a big thing to be on the Roots Picnic. That is specifically entertainment. We got it. But if you really follow Almir, you'll see him have no problem in a small something and having a shed and enjoy the heck out of it. Because naturally, that's where his, pardon the pun, roots are.
Yep.
So somebody like him, we can even learn church from him in a secular way, because his idea, even in the secular space, even Adam Blackstone, their idea is these jokers are on big stages, big productions, big entertainment, but they still have that culturistic, here's the small room right here. So again, you have to identify, are you in an empirish ministry that's just so big that everything is straight here, it's programmed, right? It's straight programmed, or are we in a space of building and growing? And something that Darien touched on a while back was our ability to survive without pimping ministry.
That's good.
Because you actually get more of your serve out. Think of the testimonies we have. Some of the greatest musicians we know or respect, they're people that got $25, $50, $100 a month to play. It's cats growing up now, they walk in off of 3 chords and some YouTube videos and getting a nice bag. There's no grind, no struggle, no hustle. And that's not said to be disrespectful. It's just saying this is the culture of environment that we're dealing with now. So we're not building ministers of music, but we got more talented people. Right?
Oh, yes.
Because they run circles around some of us with the skill set that they have. But where is the mental grown?
Yes. Real quick, let's shout out some more watchers. Devontae Oliver, Carmela Crawford, Linda Jackson, Crystal L, Ramona Sharp. Thank you all for tuning in. Ronald Glover, Mrs. Morris, Charles James. Thank you all for tuning in. Here's where I want to pivot. And it's really in line with a lot of what we're talking about, a lot of what we've been talking about, relationship and culture. And that is one of the biggest things missing in this dialogue and in the dialogue of the original conversation. Original conversation being between the pastor and the musician. Here, what's missing? Okay, what, as the pastor asking the musician, tell me about the relationship between yourself and the last pastor you served. Musician to pastor, okay, can you describe the culture here?
Wow.
Can you describe the culture of the music ministry? Can you describe the culture of the church?
Right.
Not your mission statement.
That's right.
Your mission statement is not necessarily your culture.
Exactly.
It's a copy and paste.
Right.
Not necessarily. So here's a question I would pose to you, Jay. A question I would pose to you if you were to put yourself in the, back in the interview process as the musical candidate and looking at this dialogue. And I'm going to read it to you. I just want to see what kind of, your first response and or question would be. All right. So read again. We're looking for a lead organist, keyboardist to help lead and manage our music department. We have a few key people within the music department that we've been leaning on and will be able to aid and support you. So-and-so connected us with you. So we're wondering, does this sound like something that you may be interested in considering?
Yes, it does. You gonna keep reading?
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Excellent. What is your availability regarding Sundays and during a week for rehearsals?
I'm wide open. Now,
talk to me.
All right. So just to get a little bit of where I am mentally with this, the fact that the fact that you're asking me, okay, I have to pinpoint on what my brother said last week, Pastor Troy.
Yep.
We have a few people within the music ministry that we're leaning on now. As he said, you're already building the team. So for me, right there, that would be, of course, my red flag, as he pointed out. John Doe connected us with you, and we were wondering, does this sound like something you may be interested in? Now, right there, my question to him, instead of being, okay, like, yes, it does, as you said, I need to know what would be different here than where I already am, because it's the way it's written is that you called me.
Yep.
So meaning that there has to be something, incentive of some sort that you're offering me for me to come to this ministry, because I'm already where I am and I'm fine.
Yeah. Or what if you're not anywhere presently?
Okay.
Not to say that the question still doesn't remain.
Okay.
But let's use that as a backdrop.
Right. So if I'm not anywhere and it says, okay, I'm wide open. Now, right there, as you said, me being wide open doesn't mean that I'm not at home practicing.
Yeah.
Or I'm not at home and because this is where I'm supposed to be, this is where the Lord wants me. I personally would not say I'm wide open.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you saying you're wide open, that usually means that your edge is not as sharp as it should be.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing anything. Right?
How about when wide open means I'm not satisfied where I'm at?
But that could mean that too. But see, right then and there.
I'm just personally saying I've gotten that a couple of times.
I'm glad you tossed that in.
Now, it's like I'm wide open, and I'm telling you, I've been in a position where I was told, I'm wide open. I'm sitting there like, but I just saw you over at...
Right, but then hold on. That also could mean, when you say I'm wide open, that also could mean that you could lack the integrity of giving that other church 2 weeks or a month's notice.
Yep. And Dave Bell just put that up.
Right.
So, see, there
and
it is.
Look, Jay, right? I ain't saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying because Jay,
y'all were talking and he put it up at the same time.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this, Jay. I agree with you 100%. Where you said I wouldn't say that. You would answer it differently.
Yeah.
And somebody else would say that, but they mean what you're saying.
Yeah.
Meaning like, I've handled my responsibility on my timing and everything, but I'm not going to pass up this opportunity. So I have to make language to say, hey, I'm open, right? And then the modifier wide open could mean like immediately available.
Yeah.
But then,
right.
But hold up. That also means that, it may be Saturday afternoon. So what I'll do, because I'm wide open now, so I'll call this pastor tomorrow that's expecting me and let him know, hey, listen, don't expect me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, it's rough out here.
Wait a minute. Hey, Barbara, this is Richie. I ain't coming home ever again.
Right. I ain't
Take it easy.
Man.
I ain't come home ever again. Take it easy. Right, exactly. But that's the thing. Look, without notice.
But isn't this relationship?
Absolutely.
Listen, and I can say this because this is totally legit on the table. Like I don't like doing too many innuendos. So when I can do this, I can do this because it was all love with everybody.
Yeah.
This was when Paris was coming off the road, the late Paris Bowens, and he was, they were done with the Thai stuff, right?
Yeah.
I had a relationship with Paris. We were working with stuff with the studio. He would come past the studio, him, and shout out to the band and all, right? So now on the church tip, on Sundays, I was playing and I had bass player and drummer, but I hadn't played organ. And I was talking to Paris about something totally different. And he's like, yo, I'm not doing nothing on Sundays. I might come past and hang out with you. I was like, oh, we're like
yeah.
You forget. But I knew, and I remembered he was playing at Pastor Gilbert Coleman's church for a while.
Yeah.
So I called Pastor Gilbert Coleman, who's like a father in the ministry to me, and I said, hey, Dad, what's going on?
Yeah.
I said, Paris is coming over here. Y'all clear. X1. That's not no behind Paris back. That's just pastor responsibility.
Right.
This
Absolutely.
takes out all of the musician stuff and the road flowetry and studio stuff with me and Paris and Terry and all them. Forget that. As a pastor, hey, because I seen him here. He's no longer. I didn't ask him for his story. See, this is the thing that we mess up sometimes. A lot of times we ask the question to the people we're getting more so than when you know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Just talk to that person. Not unless you believe there's a red flag.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, that's it.
But somewhere along the way we had to have integrity. And we had an awesome conversation and it helped me with my brother in an area that I didn't know was going on in his life that he wasn't obligated to tell me.
Yeah.
And it all worked together. That's what I talk about the ministry of reconciliation, right? And figuring it out and having a way. When you know better, do better, and you don't repeat the same mistakes that you made in the past.
So let me, along those lines, Pels, let me rehash something from episode 1. And shout out to Antoine Jackson as he was an active commenter during this segment. Let me rehash something. The imbalance of the need to fill the position versus or so far above or so far with so much more weight than getting to know the person behind the instrument.
That's right. You want to fill the seat.
We right back here because the questions being asked are directly about the position.
Yep.
We ain't got not one question about What's going on? Tell me about you. How did you get into music? There wasn't one question that did not point you directly at, okay, we try and get you in here as soon as possible if you're available. Problematic.
That's big.
When that imbalance, because like you said, Pels, in the previous episode, even Pastor Troy said it last week, that it's the fruit of trying to compete with other churches. You can't even digest the thought of maybe going a month or two without a musician, so that you can take time to identify a proper candidate. No, it's all about, man. It's like walking in a car dealership. You walk in a car dealership and you got an 800 credit score. They not letting you leave if you give them your information.
Right.
They gonna give you a car and say, you can take it for the day, take it for the weekend. They not letting you out of there without buying a car.
Right.
So it's kind of the same mindset here, but what it breeds negatively, it breeds all of what we just highlighted, where they saying they're wide open, and what they really mean by wide open is, listen, if this offer is right, Pastor, listen, appreciate you.
I ain't coming home.
There you go.
So long.
So now we got to make sure that we don't skip too quickly over the details of who the person is. Again, just to fill the seat.
That's right.
Because they're available and we got a vacancy.
That's good.
We got 10 more minutes.
And it happens all the time.
We got 10 more minutes. Shout out a few more people watching. K. Reed Hill, Curtis Stallings, D. Corey Shipley. My man, if y'all ain't got that Ricky Diller album, you need to get that. My man D. Corey got a great song on there. Sandra Snow, Greg Brown Jr., Justin Williams. Thank you all for tuning in.
Brother Charles James as well. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. So, here's what we closing with. All right? Because I set up last week that first sentence where it talked about help lead and manage. And that there's not a lot of details with that. All right. So here's where I want to go to close today out. All right. As the musical candidate in this particular position, here's the other thing I want us to be careful of, excuse me. And be careful. I wouldn't recommend anybody in any situation that you are saying, yes, I'm ready to start after the first conversation. There's no way in the first conversation you got all the information you need to know.
Exactly. About me and me about you.
There's absolutely no way.
Right.
So those of us musicians that may find ourselves, or musical personnel, praise and worship leader, whatever the case, that may find yourselves in this position of this first conversation, I caution you to say yes after the first conversation. I caution you. Matter of fact, it's much more likely that it'd be a no after the first conversation than it'd be a yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's no way. That's like asking for marriage after the first date. You know, like, how is it that I'm already committing myself to something I have no idea what I'm walking into? And all you told me was you need somebody at your church, and so now we discuss a number, we agree on a number, and I have no idea that I'm walking into a slaughterhouse.
No idea.
You didn't even ask about my family. You didn't ask if I even believe in God. You didn't even ask, no type of. You just I wanted to know, was I available? If I was available, you wanted. Same way with the musician and pastor. You didn't ask nothing about the church.
Mm-hmm.
So the first conversation, we just in, and that's it. So yeah, you're right. That is a red flag, and that's something. You're right. I wouldn't advise anybody to do. You have to take time to get to know where you're going. You have to take time for a pastor to get to know this candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Not only by references, but maybe y'all need to go out to breakfast or something and have an in-depth conversation, because it's a lot of times people will tell on themselves if you talk to them long enough.
If you talk to them long enough,
you may find out that you may have a mental health crisis person that you're about to hire.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're about to bring in somebody that may tear your ministry apart.
Mm-hmm.
But because you didn't really take time to get to know the person,
mm-hmm.
you just let them in.
Yep.
It's like I can't just let anybody in my home.
Absolutely.
Especially after just one conversation.
Yeah.
yo, what's up, man? Yeah. Oh, come on to the house sometime. Oh.
Flag on the play.
You don't know what that person's about. So yeah, and the same way, if a pastor cares about his church, he shouldn't let just anybody in there. And if a musician cares about his life and his time, they're both are precious. Not just a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Because your time could be wasted.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing worse than finding out your time has been wasted. And I played for a ministry over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally resigned, because like you said, I knew it was time to go 12 years into that.
Yeah.
But I fought with it.
Yeah.
8 years, I finally made up my decision to finally go. And I got a silver watch for 20 years and a thank you card.
Yeah.
That was it. All the investments that I put in, everything that my family has invested, my children, as you said, were reared there.
Yeah.
So all that I've done, and to just find out that you can just,
and there's
with the fling of the hand so easily,
and there's way too many stories like that.
Yeah, and that's the shameful part. And here's where we come back to it, where there's no trust on either side.
Yeah, on either side. Pels, I'm coming your way. Let me say this really quickly. Also, pastors, if the musical candidate is willing to agree to whatever the position is after the first conversation, that should be a red flag to you. But let me say this, and this is probably going to any past or some pastors that are following the page, they're probably going to unfollow the page after I say this. Many times, the reason why this conversation goes this way and we're trying to fill that seat so fast is because the music ministry of your church is a headache. So while that seat is vacant, pastor, it's your headache. So I got to fill this quickly so this can become somebody else's headache. Pels, yours.
Wow. I mean, wrapping this up, I know we're ready to go. Darien, some thoughts came to mind, and Jay, you know, again, I'm sounding like a broken horse here, and I'm agreeing with everybody's dropping on here. Something that Charles James threw out there about when we put so much emphasis on our music department, when the musician leaves, and tying this to what Darien just said, then we have to replace that. Like, again, my NFL analogies. The reason why said certain team is having so many problems is because they just don't want to admit the quarterback sucks, right? and the culture of that squad, like Patriots, anybody that had a homeboy, right, from the Patriots, that organization is always trying to replace and get that guy. You got to build it off of that because that was your bag, right? You built it all around that daggone quarterback, or you built it around a pitcher. Yeah. And so if that pitcher is a main piece, it's not the whole organization, but it has become. And so wide receiver is that person. So like the ministry of the church now, when you've had that person and it is time to move on. Like, it's not a bad thing that they're moving on. They could have an opportunity to go somewhere, go on the road with a major artist or something, and they're going. You're fighting to replace that person, but you're not going to get the same person. You're going to get the talent, but not the person. If the person is integrated into the ministry, it does affect the congregation, right? So this is why the relationship matters so much, that we're all on the same page and understanding, because maybe you may know that the reason why musicians work for me, why it worked for me with musicians at my church, because they knew I could play. So they didn't feel like, yo, if I got to call you the last minute, yo, sorry, I got to, be out. Yeah. But I know you can cover it, or I'm going to try to get you somebody. And I wasn't building it on, I need musicians, because I will do a foot stomping, hand clapping, just right off the bat, because that was the culture of my church. So the music was an added to, but not the core of what I'm doing. Right. Churches now are the core of it. Is like Darien said, the pastor's under pressure to get the music right. So I played for a church before I went to my church and pastoring on a Sunday, that it was understood I'm only there for a season. But I affected the culture of that church so much that they were like, yo, nobody else can come in and do this 8 o'clock like you did. Because I understood their male choir culture. I understood their old deacon metered hymn culture. And we had it lit. And when I had to get out of there and resign from it, which they knew was coming, they could not meet that culture again. And they no longer have that 8 o'clock service. Yeah. Because the pastor made a decision, we just not going to get this like it was. Right. So it's one of those things where this is not a conclusion to it. This is not a finite answer. Yeah. But the thing is, you can't win without the culture of it, or you're just lucky and blessed to be able to afford the entertainment, to have the bag. This is why certain sports teams are always somewhere near the top, because they got the money to pay for the talent. Yeah. And the other teams, they have to trust building the culture in the club with little to no money. Yeah. But those are the ones that are more into the relationship. Yeah. Because the other ones are just throwing out dollars to buy it. Yeah. Wow. So absolutely. So now let me transition to this and I'll close. The musician now, because I've been a musician, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a pastor house where I had to for a while. And then when I didn't have to, any place that I played outside of my home church, I took the uprearing and the bringing up of family structure and culture where I went. Y'all know those musicians when you see them. Yeah. I don't care if, like Jay was saying, if you start a ministry and you have it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you can have a wide range of musicians to come in, you're blessed when you get somebody that understands dedication and culture. So when you say we a little short, they not like, oh, the heck with y'all. They like, okay, long as I got your word, you looking out, we good. Because they're built on relationship rather than, yo, pandemic happens, things happen. Yeah. They're cool because of where they come from. Right. Yeah. If they don't have that, you're stuck. And if you build that off of entertainment, you are done. So you do the laws of entertainment and you're going to have to get that money. That's when you're going to have to keep calling the $50, $100 lines, because you got to keep paying that corner. Yeah. Right? Extraordinary money to keep in. You got to deal with inflation.
Absolutely. Yep.
And not ministry, okay? Absolutely. So it's kind of rough there. I'll come up with more finite how to handle it. Especially for the mid in business, they say small businesses, right? Yeah. So we're not really trying to say big church, little church, but for the smaller congregation that wants that environment and culture, because we love music. We do love music. But I would try to really get people to understand you want to build around your people so that you don't make the monster out of the musicians.
Absolutely.
Be the house that the talented musician, I'm going to just name these two guys so I don't get in trouble. What kind of church out there, here's my closing line. What church is out there that you don't have any musicians, but Darien would want to bring his wife and his girls in there and say, I see this vision with you and I'll help you grow it? What culture do you have with no music, nothing? It's just you, pastor, and your spouse, your kids, and the people that you influence. There's your vision and your idea that you know you can't do it all by yourself. Have you put that kind of house together under God's authority that when Jay and Angel sit down and just meet up with you in the mall and talking and you say, yeah, you know, I started a ministry. Are they like, we going to come visit you? And is Angel going to say, hun, you know what? Keith probably only got a $500 bag, but you know what? I believe it'll grow. And the way I know him and Tina, you know what? If he eating, you going to eat. That who is looking at your ministry and saying that behind your back? Not no, oh, Darien play over there and keep paying him $1,000. You know what, Jay? Darien talking about moving to Florida. You better go over there. No, you saying that because of the bag. I'm talking about they love you. They love your family, the relationship, how you do. You know, they're doing something outside of church. So they don't even need to pay you in the church because we going to open up a bigger, you know, restaurant just in relationship with them. It has nothing to do with church. Keith and Darien's going to build a studio that ain't got nothing to do with the church. And Sunday is just our chill day. And we don't need all the keyboards. We don't need any monitors. We're going to have church and have a good time because we eating over there. Like, who's got that kind of ministry?
Don't know.
That's something to think about.
Yes, sir.
Y'all got
so
clues.
Listen, thanks again. Everybody that's tuned in. John Turner just recently tuned in. Rena Sky, Jeff Smith, the Butler, Simone Culver, Josh Footman, Boom Hannah, Carlos Pena, John A. Burnett II. Thank you all again for tuning in. We will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel for Red Flags Part 3. So once again, I'm D. Brister.
I'm Jay Morris.
Reb Juice on the ones and twos. Take us away.
Yes, sir. What am I dude, I'm all slow. You know what? Just leave out on this. Here we go. Get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Yep.